Hello there, this is Nightline. I'm Anita, news making the headlines. Election Commission EC to implement the automatic voter registration and Undi 18 after September 1st next year. And 50% discount for traffic summonses paid online until April 11th. We begin with our headlining stories. The Election Commission EC can only implement the automatic voter registration and the lowering of the voting age to 18 or Undi 18 after September 1st next year. Its chairman, Dato' Abdul Ghani Saleh, in a statement said the EC is facing several challenges and issues in carrying out the two voter reforms that was passed by Parliament previously. He added the decision was made taking into account the movement control order to control the COVID-19 pandemic. Currently, he said the EC is already carrying out works to implement the two reforms, including developing the system, checking and screening the data, and carrying out coordination programs with government agencies, political parties and non-governmental organizations. Dato' Abdul Ghani said based on the EC's records, there are 5.6 million Malaysians aged 18 and above. Of this amount, there are 1.2 million between the age of 18 and 20. The other 4.4 million are those aged 21 and above who already qualified to vote but have yet to register. The EC will also be launching a system to check pre-registrations automatically through their website from August to allow the 5.6 million Malaysians to check and verify their details. The Royal Malaysia Police should empower the capability of its personnel in mastering the laws of the country, apart from equipping the force with sophisticated assets, gadgets and arms in the effort to move forward to face modern challenges and threats which are getting more demanding. Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the police should step up the participation of its personnel and officers in training, courses or conferences organised in the country as well as abroad to acquire more global exposure and the latest sharing. Speaking when delivering his message in conjunction with the 214th Police Day at the Police Training Centre on Thursday, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the international-level strategic collaboration and cooperation forged by the police so far has enabled the national security forces to keep abreast with security forces of other countries, such as the Scotland Yard, Royal Military Police United Kingdom and Hong Kong Police Force.
Bagi membina pasukan penguatkuasaan undang-undang yang kukuh dan utuh, penerapan nilai disiplin dan integriti perlu dititik beratkan dalam pembinaan sahsiah anggota-anggota PDRM. Selain itu, untuk meningkatkan prestasi pasukan, semua anggota PDRM harus mempunyai sifat sense of belonging kepada pasukan dan rasa tanggungjawab yang tinggi kepada amanah yang digalas.
Commenting further, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said the police, having attained 214 years of service, has succeeded in adapting through several transformations and innovations from time to time to ensure it stays relevant over time. However, the Prime Minister believes there is still room for empowerment for PDRM to raise its level of professionalism and preparedness in shouldering the trust. In this regard, he also called on all parties to cooperate with PDRM to eradicate efforts and actions of elements attempting to threaten the sovereignty and public order. Nonetheless, he said the task of guarding peace in the country should not solely rest on the shoulders of security forces such as PDRM. Also present during the celebration were Home Minister Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin, Chief of Defence Forces General Tan Sri Effendi Buang and Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur. At the same event, Tan Sri Muhyiddin announced that the nation's enforcement officers will be equipped with body cameras in order to protect the police from slander by criminals or unscrupulous people. The Prime Minister said the government had approved an allocation of 30 million ringgit for this purpose.
Dengan penggunaan kamera badan berteknologi tinggi dan canggih, saya percaya moral dan keyakinan anggota PDRM dapat dipertingkatkan semasa melakukan operasi dan juga penugasan yang telah ditetapkan.
Tan Sri Muhyiddin also announced that the government had agreed to extend the 500 ringgit financial assistance to all serving or retired recipients of the Pingat Jasa Pahlawan Negara. He said 80,000 recipients of the Medal of Honor, including 40,000 of those who have retired, would benefit from this aid. Meanwhile, Tan Sri Muhyiddin stressed that giving control of the Border Control Agency, or AKSEM, to the police will curb intrusion of foreigners into the country more effectively, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the move was part of the government's efforts to restructure and strengthen border control holistically to ensure the sovereignty of the nation.
Kerajaan percaya strategi meletakkan peranan AKSEM di bawah pasukan gerakan UMM PGA. Ia bakal menyekat pencerobohan masuk warga asing ke dalam negara dengan lebih berkesan dan efisien, terutamanya ketika penularan pandemik COVID-19.
AKSEM is an agency under the Home Ministry that is responsible for curbing smuggling and other illegal activities along the country's borders. Previously, AKSEM involved 5 agencies, namely PDRM, Immigration Department, Royal Malaysian Customs Department, the National Anti-Drug Agency and the National Canal and Tobacco Board. Meanwhile, the police are offering discounts of up to 50% for traffic summonses, which are paid via the My Bayar Saman portal and application from Thursday until April 11th. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador said the offer was to encourage the public to use the online facility to settle summonses for minor traffic offences.
Objektif akhirnya menutup secara berperingkat-peringkat semua kaunter bayaran tunai, bukan sahaja kaunter tunai bayaran saman JSPT, malahan semua kaunter-kaunter terimaan hasil di lain-lain jabatan dalam PDRM.
He was speaking to reporters after launching My Bayar Saman at the Federal Police Headquarters in Kuala Lumpur. However, the IGP stressed that the offer did not apply to major traffic offences such as jumping the red light, speeding, overtaking double lines, using the telephone while driving and driving on the emergency lane. Tan Sri Abdul Hamid said since the portal and app went live at midnight on Thursday, police have collected at least R1 million. On a separate matter, the IGP also insisted there is not a need to establish Royal Commission of Inquiry, RCI, to investigate his recent cartel within the police force allegation. Stressing that the matter was under control and that he was in full command, he said Bukit Aman Integrity and Standard Compliance Department would take the necessary action against those involved in the alleged cartel operations. Meanwhile, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah extended his wishes to all dedicated police officers nationwide, including police veterans and retirees, in conjunction with the 214th Police Day. In a statement on Istana Negara's official Facebook page, the King expressed his highest appreciation to all police personnel for their services, commitment and sacrifices in ensuring that sovereignty, national security and public order are continuously safeguarded and maintained. His Majesty also extended his gratitude towards the police force for having worked tirelessly as frontliners in combating the COVID-19 pandemic since last year. He hoped that all police officers and personnel continue to remain strong and enthusiastic in safeguarding the sovereignty, security and well-being of the people and the country. Al-Sultan Abdullah also prayed for all police officers to be continuously blessed and protected by Allah from all forms of threats and calamities, and for all their fallen heroes to be placed among the righteous.
The labour market's recovery, how to promote job creation and increase employment opportunities, from job seekers to job creators, and working in the gig economy. Join me, Tamina Kausji, on Money Matters as we speak with Malaysian Employers Federation Executive Director Datuk Shamsuddin Bardan, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Back to the bulletin. 41 education institution COVID-19 clusters have been detected this year, as schools started reopening gradually in January, with a total of 2,228 cases resulting from these clusters. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said this included 3 new clusters reported: the Paloh Rambai cluster, Merinding cluster and Persiaran Maktab cluster. The highest number of clusters were at higher education institutions, with 15 clusters, followed by secondary schools at 11, preschools and primary schools at 10, as well as tahfiz and madrasah centres with 5 clusters. 6 of the preschool and primary school clusters were detected after schools reopened on March 1st. Higher education institutions also had the highest number of cases at 1,058 in 3 months this year. The Health Ministry reminded school administrators, teachers, parents, canteen operators, school bus drivers and students to always follow the standard operating procedures, SOPs. The investigation into the accident at the Sungai Besi Ulu Klang Elevated Expressway, or SUKA, involving a fallen gantry launcher on March 22nd will be completed in a month's time. The Department of Occupational Safety and Health, DOSH, said it had already begun its investigations into the accident and will be taking legal action based on its findings. In a statement, DOSH said among the actions that can be taken includes prosecution under the provisions of Section 15 and 17 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994. The provision states that it is the employer's duty to ensure the safety, health and welfare of their employees while working, and also the safety and health of others affected by work activities. The maximum penalty under both sections is a maximum fine of 50,000 ringgit or 2 years jail or both. DOSH also confirmed that the stop work notice issued by them over the incident will only be revoked after the employer takes corrective action and comprehensive control measures to prevent accidents. Meanwhile, another concrete block has fallen onto the Middle Ring Road 2 or MRR2 along the Sungai Besi Ulu Klang Elevated Expressway, Suka, on Thursday, impeding traffic during the morning rush. However, the highway concessionaire said that the block was not from the Suka project, but had instead fallen off from a third-party lorry that was transporting it. In an announcement on Suka's official Twitter account, it said a concrete block fell from the lorry on the middle lane of the MRR2 after Hillview, heading towards Ampang. It urged road users to follow the directions given by the traffic officers at the location. Last Monday, 3 Chinese workers were killed and a Malaysian driver was seriously injured after one of the gantry crane components at the Suka construction site fell and crushed a moving vehicle. Project Lintasan Kota Holdings Sendirian Berhad, Prolintas, in a statement said it has started to work to remove the gantry crane since Wednesday, after the third and final body was extricated from the site. It added that the operation would be a complicated process and is expected to take several days. The recent heat wave has become a challenge for some Malaysians in complying with the standard operating procedures, SOPs, to wear a face mask. Nightline Siva Tanggai Raju spoke to several city folk who told him wearing face masks in this hot and humid weather made them uncomfortable and oftentimes makes it difficult to breathe.
Despite the rains in the afternoon the last few days in the capital, many residents I spoke to in Kuala Lumpur said blazing sun in the daytime made it unbearable to wear their face mask.
Oh, I feel very sweaty. Sometimes very itchy, the throat there, and then hard to breathe. So I have to take out and breathe a bit, then only put it back.
Shortness of breath, you don't feel comfortable, sweat. You got a lot of some sweat inside the mouth, and and then you got skin problem, so it's not comfortable,
Feel very tired, and also our face we can have skin issues.
Very warm up, and then sometimes difficult in breathing also. You feel especially not very well, and then very tired and very smoky like that.
A family physician, Dr. Rohaya Ramli, meanwhile advised the public to be mindful of their choice of face mask to avoid breathing difficulties.
My advice is, number 1, choose the right mask. Okay? Now the best material for a mask to be used in hot weather is one that is made out of 100% cotton. Because unlike polyester, which traps heat, cotton doesn't do that. And then cotton is also soft, breathable, and it doesn't cause inflammation to the skin, especially for those with sensitive skin. Okay, the other thing that you can do is that to put a spacer, this is what we call a spacer, okay? A spacer which, like this, creates a space between your nose and your mouth to the mask. So it's more comfortable for you to breathe. So what you do is that you put on the mask and you slide this in, like this. Okay? So it forms a cone, as I said just now, yeah? Makes you breathe easier.
Besides picking the right face mask, there are also things you can do to reduce your discomfort in the hot weather. Plan your trip so you can reduce your time going out under the hot morning sun. She added that people should also limit their time outdoor by planning their daily movements.
Don't go out at 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's very, very hot. Okay, you can get heat stroke. So don't go out at midday. Okay, now if you want to exercise, for example, always do it in the morning before 8 o'clock, because by 8 o'clock the sun is already up.
I'm Shiva Tangaraju for Nightline TV3.
We're now taking a short break, and when we return, police tracking down former DPP for suspected ties to wanted Datuk Sri. Stay with us. Welcome back, still on Nightline. Johor police are searching for a former deputy public prosecutor suspected to have been involved in several money laundering and commercial crimes in the state. Johor Police Chief Datuk Ayub Khan Maidin Pichai said the 42-year-old known as Mat Azhar Izwan Muhammad Arifin, also known as Datuk A. Janus, whose services as a DPP were terminated, is also linked to the case involving fugitive businessman Datuk Sri Nicky Liow Sun Hee.
Suspek yang kita sedang pesan iaitu Mat Azhar Izwan, Mat Azhar Izwan, Mat Arifin, umur 42 tahun. Dia ni alamat Anita tak cucuk. Ini adalah bekas PDRM Timbalan Raya.
Datuk Ayub was speaking in a media conference after the state-level ceremony in conjunction with the 214th Police Day celebrations at the Johor Police Contingent Headquarters on Thursday. He said to date, police have arrested 92 other people in Puchong linked to the fraud syndicate. However, he said 40 have been detained under the Security Offences Special Measures Act, or SOSMA 2012, while the remaining 52 have since been released after being screened by the police as they were not directly involved in the cases. Datuk Sri Nicky Liow, who is also the founder of the Winner Dynasty Group, is wanted under sections 130V to 130ZB of the Penal Code for organised crime offences. 2 investigation papers concerning the suspect have been opened in Johor under the Anti-Money Laundering Act, or AMLA, and SOSMA. He was previously arrested for assaulting 2 People's Volunteer Corps or RELA members who were on duty at the Ko Ong Nya Temple in Kuala Lumpur about 4 years ago. He was later acquitted and discharged. A 29-year-old constable at the Meranti police station in Pasir Mas accidentally shot himself in the leg while unloading his firearm at the end of his shift on Wednesday. Kelantan Police Chief Datuk Shafiin Mamat said the constable's semi-automatic pistol suddenly went off and the bullet pierced his left thigh.
Satu laporan lah di mana salah seorang anggota DIP di Pasir Mas semasa beliau ni habis tugas tengah malam tadi, semasa nak serah senjata api, nak senjata pistol, semasa dia buat mengosongkan peluru, dia panggil. Tiba-tiba meletup satu das dan terkena paha kiri dia. Dan sekarang dirawat di hospital HRPZ 2. Jadi ya, umur 29 tahun, pangkat constable. Ya. So dia kalau lebih tepat di bawah IPD Pasir Mas, Balai Meranti. So kita pihak polis jalankan siasatan untuk melihat sama ada ini satu kecuaian yang disengajakan ataupun ada lain-lain perkara.
Datuk Shafiin said initial investigation found that while removing the bullet casing from the pistol, a shot was accidentally fired. He added that the injured officer was aided by other staff at the police station who initially thought that the officer had shot himself. The constable received initial treatment at the Pasir Mas Hospital before being referred to the Raja Perempuan Zainab II Hospital for further treatment and is now in stable condition. The Kuala Lumpur High Court has allowed the government to forfeit more than 48 million ringgit seized from Tan Sri Larry Lau Hock Peng, the father of fugitive Joe Low. Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan made the decision after allowing the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's MACC's application to recover assets from the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB scandal. Tan Sri Low's account was previously frozen by the authorities as part of the investigation on whether the money in his accounts were part of the 1MDB loot. MACC Deputy Public Prosecutor Shafinaz Shabuddin during the proceedings said no third party appeared to contest the forfeiture action. On March 29, 2019, the government had filed a civil forfeiture action to freeze 7 bank accounts belonging to Tan Sri Low, claiming the amount in the account was from money laundering activities. Both Tan Sri Low and his son Joe Low have been fugitives since the government initiated legal action to recover monies linked to 1MDB. Next up on Nightline, race to free ship stuck in Suez Canal enters third day. Stay tuned. We're back with news on the foreign front. North Korea fired 2 suspected ballistic missiles into the sea Thursday in its first substantive provocation to the new U.S. administration of Joe Biden. South Korea Joint Chiefs of Staff said the North fired 2 short-range missiles into the Sea of Japan from South Hamgyong province. It was understood the first missile was fired shortly after 7 a.m. local time and that the second was launched about 20 minutes later. They travelled 450 kilometres and reached a maximum altitude of 60 kilometres. And after an emergency meeting, South Korea's National Security Council expressed deep concern at the launch. Pyongyang has been biding its time since the new U.S. administration took office, not even officially acknowledging its existence until last week. North Korea is banned from developing any ballistic missiles under the United Nations Security Council resolution and is under multiple international sanctions over its weapons programs. In Egypt, efforts to dislodge a 400-metre-long massive container vessel that has choked traffic along the Suez Canal resumed at high tide on Thursday, with 5 tugs working to drag the vessel to deeper waters after low tide overnight had slowed the efforts. The Suez Canal Authority in a statement said the 224,000-ton Ever Given vessel ran aground diagonally across the single-lane stretch of the Southern Canal on Tuesday morning after losing its ability to steer amid high winds and a dust storm. It is now blocking transit in both directions through one of the world's busiest shipping channels for goods, oil, grain and other products linking Asia and Europe. The Japanese owner of the ship, Shoei Kisen, has apologized for the incident and the tremendous worry it has caused to the other vessels and their involved parties. He said it is cooperating with its technical management company and the local authorities to get the ship afloat, but the operation is extremely difficult. Meanwhile, Dutch company Boskalis, which is trying to free the ship, said it was too early to say how long the job might take and could take up to weeks, depending on the situation. We now take a look at the highlights of Malaysia's main newspapers for Friday, March 26th. The New Straits Times focuses on the government's decision to equip police officers with body cameras to protect them from slander by criminals. A heart-wrenching story on an 8-year-old boy who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer is one of the stories featured on Malaysia's best-selling Malay newspapers, Harian Metro's front page. Berita Harian, meanwhile, highlights the addition of 2 more groups in the second phase of the COVID-19 vaccination next month. And finally, an article on Langkawi tour operators demanding clarification on interstate travel for green zones takes the front page of the Malaysian Reserve. Don't forget to get your copies or subscribe to the online newspaper. In closing, around 1,500 medical workers and COVID-19 patients played angklung, an Indonesian traditional bamboo instrument, in a music show to mark a year the country's largest COVID-19 medical institution. The hospital has served as isolation and treatment centre for infected people, for those infected to mild to moderate symptoms. During its 1 year in service, the hospital has treated more than 70,000 patients and nearly 66,000 have recovered and been released. As we wrap, we leave you with visuals of the ceremony. With that, I'm Anita. Thank you for watching and be well, Malaysia.